this video, we're going to look at isometric sketching. Now, isometric sketching is a type of pictorial view. We have different types of pictorial views: oblique, planometric, perspective, but isometric is certainly the most common one. It's the one used by IKEA and Lego in their little instruction manuals. Now, one of the key things to note about an isometric view is that the vertical lines remain vertical, whereas the horizontal lines are viewed at 30 degrees. Now, creating a 30-degree angle can be quite challenging. Normally, we would have a set square to help us out. In this case, a 30-60 set square, where the angles are set at 30, 90 and 60 degrees. Can be used, typically I would use it this way with the 30 and 90 edge sitting level. However, you can use it as a 30-60, where the 30-degree angle and the long edge is facing down the way. It just means that instead of having a 90-degree angle, you've got a 60-degree angle here. Now for sketching, we're not going to be using the 30-degree set square, we're going to set it to one side. We are, however, going to use a steel rule just to give ourselves a baseline to work from. Once I've got that baseline, I'm going to find a point I'm happy to work from, ideally near the centre of the page. I'm going to pick this point here, and I'm going to draw a vertical line up. And by drawing that vertical line, I'm just going to try and keep parallel to the edge of the page. I'm going to extend quite far up because I will be using it throughout the drawing. After that, I want to try and find my 30-degree angle. Now, in order to do that, it's best to try and imagine that as point 12 on a clock and that as point 3. And 1 and 2 would fall within this section, evenly spaced. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to approximate roughly where 1 would be and where 2 would be. And to get my 30-degree line, I'm going to aim for roughly where 2 would be to get that 30-degree angle. I've gone a little bit lower, but that's okay. It still looks approximately 30 degrees. And this time I'm going to put where 11 and 10 are. And this time I'm going to go from where 10 is, aiming from the centre just to get a more accurate point. But what you can see there is both those lines will be at approximately 30 degrees. Once I've got those 30-degree lines, what I want to do is I want to add in the lengths of the different surfaces. So we're going to treat this line here as being this edge, and we're going to start first of all getting a box big enough just to fit the lower half of the object, not dealing with the cylinder just yet. You can see that on the right it is certainly shorter than the left. It's about double the length on the left, so I'm going to start off by getting the right hand side. I'm going to do it at a slightly larger scale just for visibility. I'm going to pick my length there, and I'm going to go about double that length to the other side. So that's where it would be about the same, and that would be about double. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend a vertical line up from here and from here, keeping parallel with this one. And what that's going to represent is this edge here and this edge here. So extending that line up, I'm going to keep it going quite far, and I'm going to do the same over here. Had a little bit of wobble here, but that's okay. I'm just going to straighten that up down at the bottom. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to work out the biggest height of the object. That would be at the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that to the back of the object. Now that height is slightly longer than the depth here, so I need to make sure that my height exceeds the length here. So if I look, that's probably about the same size as there. I'm going to go a little bit larger, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend back down towards that front line, keeping parallel with that 30-degree line, which can be quite tricky, and you might need to take more than one go at it, but that looks approximately parallel to that first line. And then to continue this height here, over here, I'm going to change direction at the front and go back 30 degrees up at this angle here. Now that I've managed to form the left and right surface of my object, I'm going to try and form the top of the object, and that can be done just by using parallel lines. Now that I've got to this point here, I'm going to treat this point the same way that I treated this point. I'm going to go back at 30 degrees in the opposite direction. Again, we're going to try and make it parallel, which can be quite difficult just because of the distance, but try your best. So going approximately back at 30 degrees, you can see now what I'm trying to form is this back edge here. I'm going to try and form the top of the object. So I'm going to extend back from here all the way to there. And for me it's a little bit easier going from back through to front. But what I've got now is what looks like a three-dimensional cuboid, where I've got height, a length on the left hand side, and I've got a depth on the right hand side. And the idea is that it would be big enough to fit in this bottom section of the object, ignoring the cylinder for just now. To complete the object, I'm going to subtract sections from it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to look first of all for the length of this part here, which again is slightly shorter than this part here. So I'm going to use that as an indication of size and try and maintain proportion. So I'm going to look first of all to here and think, right, that's where that size would be if I was recreating that one. I'm just going to go a little bit shorter. And now that I've got this point in the front, I'm going to try and extend back at 30 degrees to get this top line here. To do that, I just follow the line here, trying to make it parallel, and extend to the back of the object. Once I've got that edge here, I'm going to try and include this edge surface here. So what I do is look for the height of the object. It's quite a shallow height, it's not particularly tall. So I'm going to mark that on this line here and then go back at 30 degrees, keeping it parallel to that line. And you can see what I've managed to form now is I've got heights, lengths, another height here, and then I've got this edge here and this edge here. To complete the bottom half of this object, I now can just simply join the top intersection here with that one there. And again, that can just be sketched in. The big difference here is that it's no longer parallel to anything else, but because we've found 2 points, we can just join dot to dot. You can see now that we've finished forming the bottom section of this object, but the cylindrical section is a much more challenging task, and that will be continued in another video.